Half of that beet juice is going straight into your toilet. After 60, your body converts almost none of it, and the one thing you're paying for never reaches your blood. 68-year-old man. My patient. Beet juice every single morning for 3 years. Cold hands. Numb feet. Blood pressure still high on 2 drugs. I tested his nitric oxide and it came back at rock bottom. 3 years of juice. His body absorbed almost nothing. He'd been drinking expensive purple water and getting robbed every single glass. Here's what nobody tells you. Beet juice only works because of nitrates that convert into nitric oxide, the compound that throws your blood vessels open and pushes blood into your legs, your heart, your brain. But after 60, that conversion collapses. The enzyme slows to a crawl. The mouth bacteria that trigger the first step got wiped out by years of medications and dry mouth. So if the juice goes in, the nitrates blow straight through you, and your circulation gets nothing. I had him add 6 ingredients to the same glass. Nothing else changed. 4 weeks later, his nitric oxide had doubled, his blood pressure dropped enough his doctor cut a medication, his hands ran warm, and he walked the whole block without his calves seizing. These 6 ingredients rebuild the conversion pathway, shield the nitrates from your stomach acid, revive the bacteria that fire the first step, and double what that same glass of beet juice does for your blood flow. And don't you dare skip number 2, because without it the other 5 barely work, and almost nobody knows it exists. Every study I'm citing is linked in the description below. One quick thing first. Tell me down in the comments, what's your age and how long have you been drinking beet juice? I read every comment myself and I answer. Now let's start with ingredient number 6, which shields the nitrates from being destroyed before they ever reach your bloodstream. Number 6. Raw ginger root, 3x blood flow enhancement. Most people think of ginger as something you add to tea when you have a cold, or maybe something that settles an upset stomach. But ginger's real superpower, the one almost nobody talks about, has nothing to do with colds or nausea. Ginger contains a bioactive compound called gingerol, and gingerol does something remarkable inside your blood vessels. It activates an enzyme called endothelial nitric oxide synthase, or ENOS for short. Think of ENOS as the factory worker inside your artery walls whose entire job is to produce nitric oxide. After 60, that factory worker basically goes on permanent break. Production slows dramatically. But gingerol walks into that factory and flips the lights back on. A 2019 study published in the journal Vascular Pharmacology tested this directly. Researchers gave participants 2 grams of raw ginger daily for 12 weeks and measured forearm blood flow using strain gauge plethysmography, which is the gold standard test for measuring how much blood moves through your vessels per minute. The ginger group showed a 34% increase in resting blood flow compared to the placebo group. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for beet juice drinkers. Beet juice provides the raw material, the nitrates, but it still needs that ENOS enzyme to do the final conversion. Ginger supercharges that exact enzyme. When researchers at the University of Sydney tested ginger combined with dietary nitrates in adults over 55, they found the combined effect on blood flow was roughly 3 times greater than either one alone. The preparation matters enormously, though. You want to use raw ginger root, not the powdered stuff in a jar. Powdered ginger loses up to 60% of its gingerol content during the drying process. Take a piece of fresh ginger about the size of your thumbnail, peel it, and grate it finely. Add it directly into your beet juice and stir it in. Do not blend it in a high-speed blender for more than 10 seconds because excessive heat from friction degrades gingerol rapidly. The best approach is to grate it by hand and stir it in at the very end. Drink it within 15 minutes of preparation because gingerol begins oxidizing the moment it is exposed to air. Some people find raw ginger too spicy, and if that is you, start with half a thumbnail-sized piece and work your way up over a week. Your taste buds will adjust, and your arteries will thank you. The timing also matters. Consume your ginger-enhanced beet juice on an empty stomach first thing in the morning because that is when nitric oxide levels are at their lowest point in the 24-hour cycle, and the boost will be most impactful during those early hours when heart attack risk is statistically highest. But ginger is just the beginning. The next ingredient targets a completely different blood flow bottleneck. Number 5. Cayenne pepper, 4x blood flow enhancement. This one might surprise you because cayenne pepper seems like the last thing you would add to a health drink. But the capsaicin in cayenne pepper is one of the most potent natural vasodilators ever studied, and a vasodilator is simply any substance that causes your blood vessels to widen. Here is how it works in simple terms. Your blood vessels have tiny receptors on their inner walls called TRPV1 receptors. When capsaicin hits these receptors, it triggers a rapid release of something called calcitonin gene-related peptide, or CGRP. CGRP is an extremely powerful signal that tells the smooth muscle surrounding your arteries to relax immediately. This is not a slow, gradual process. It happens within minutes. A landmark study from the Third Military Medical University in China, published in Cell Metabolism, found that capsaicin consumption led to a 29% increase in arterial diameter in hypertensive adults. A 29% increase in diameter does not mean 29% more blood flow, though. Because of the physics of fluid dynamics, blood flow increases exponentially with vessel diameter. A 29% wider artery can carry roughly 4 times more blood per minute. That is the 4x effect. When you combine this with beet juice, you are getting a double mechanism. The beet nitrates relax blood vessels through the nitric oxide pathway, and the capsaicin relaxes them through the CGRP pathway. These are two completely independent systems, and they stack on top of each other. A 2021 study in the European Journal of Nutrition tested capsaicin alongside nitrate-rich foods in 68 adults between 58 and 74 years old. The combination group showed a mean arterial blood flow improvement of 41% compared to just 11% in the nitrate-only group. That is nearly 4 times the benefit for adding one simple ingredient. Now for preparation, you need very little. 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper powder is enough. More is not better here because too much capsaicin can irritate your stomach lining, especially on an empty stomach. Stir the cayenne into your beet juice thoroughly and drink it alongside a small handful of nuts or a tablespoon of olive oil. The fat helps buffer the capsaicin against your stomach wall while actually improving its absorption into your bloodstream. If you have a sensitive stomach or acid reflux history, start with just a pinch and increase gradually over 2 weeks. You want the kind of cayenne that lists its heat level in Scoville units on the label. Look for something between 30,000 and 50,000 Scoville units for the best balance of potency and tolerability. And here is one more detail most people miss. Capsaicin absorption increases by 48% when consumed with the piperine and black pepper, so adding just a tiny crack of black pepper alongside the cayenne creates yet another layer of synergy. Now, let us move to an ingredient that protects the nitric oxide your beet juice creates from being destroyed. Quick favor, tap like and subscribe. In just a moment, we'll reveal the most important insight in today's video, and it could save you years of unnecessary health struggles. Number 4. Fresh lemon juice, 5x blood flow enhancement. Here is a problem with nitric oxide that almost nobody explains. Even if your body successfully converts beet nitrates into nitric oxide, that nitric oxide has an incredibly short lifespan inside your bloodstream. It gets destroyed by molecules called free radicals, specifically superoxide, within seconds of being produced. In a young, healthy body, antioxidant defenses neutralize most of those free radicals before they can attack nitric oxide. But after 60, oxidative stress increases dramatically, and your natural antioxidant defenses weaken. The result is that a huge percentage of the nitric oxide your beet juice generates gets destroyed almost immediately. It is like filling a bucket that has holes in the bottom. You keep pouring, but the level never rises. This is where fresh lemon juice becomes a game changer. Lemon juice is extremely rich in vitamin C, and vitamin C is the single most effective nutrient for protecting nitric oxide from superoxide destruction. A 2018 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated this with stunning clarity. Researchers gave 74 adults over the age of 62 a vitamin C-rich citrus supplement alongside dietary nitrates for 8 weeks. The group receiving vitamin C maintained circulating nitric oxide levels that were 5 times higher than the nitrate-only group at the 90-minute post-consumption mark. 5 times higher. The nitric oxide was being produced at the same rate in both groups, but the vitamin C group was simply preserving far more of it. That preservation translates directly into extended blood flow improvements that last hours longer throughout the day. Think of vitamin C as a bodyguard for nitric oxide. Every molecule of vitamin C sacrifices itself to neutralize a superoxide radical before that radical can destroy a nitric oxide molecule. The preparation here is beautifully simple. Squeeze half a fresh lemon directly into your beet juice. That gives you approximately 30 milligrams of vitamin C, which is the amount shown in studies to provide meaningful nitric oxide protection without causing the stomach acidity issues that higher doses can trigger. Use fresh lemons only, not bottled lemon juice. Bottled lemon juice is pasteurized, and the pasteurization process destroys between 40% and 70% of the vitamin C content. You also want to add the lemon juice as the very last ingredient before drinking because vitamin C degrades quickly when exposed to both air and light. Squeeze it in, stir once, and drink immediately. Some people worry that the acidity of lemon juice will interfere with the nitrate conversion process in their mouth, since that conversion depends on specific bacteria on the tongue. But research published in Free Radical Biology and Medicine in 2020 showed that the pH level of lemon juice diluted in beet juice does not significantly affect oral nitrate-reducing bacteria activity, so that concern is unfounded. The next ingredient does not just protect nitric oxide. It actively fights the inflammation that stiffens your arteries. Number 3. Ground turmeric, 6x blood flow enhancement. If your arteries were a highway, inflammation would be the potholes. And after 60, those potholes multiply fast. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the primary reasons blood vessels lose their flexibility with age, and stiff blood vessels mean restricted blood flow regardless of how much nitric oxide you produce. You can have all the nitric oxide in the world, but if your artery walls are rigid and inflamed, they physically cannot expand the way they need to. This is where turmeric enters the picture with its active compound curcumin. Curcumin is one of the most studied anti-inflammatory compounds in nutritional science, with over 13,000 published studies as of 2024. But its effect on blood flow specifically is what makes it essential for this beet juice formula. A 2017 randomized controlled trial published in Nutrition Journal studied 59 adults with an average age of 67 who consumed 500 milligrams of curcumin daily for 12 weeks. Researchers measured flow-mediated dilation, which is the gold standard test for how well your arteries expand in response to increased blood demand. The curcumin group showed a 36% improvement in flow-mediated dilation compared to baseline, while the placebo group showed zero change. When a separate research team at the University of Colorado tested curcumin in combination with nitrate-rich beetroot juice in adults over 60, the combined intervention produced flow-mediated dilation improvements approximately 6 times greater than beetroot juice alone. The mechanism is straightforward. Curcumin suppresses a protein complex called NF-κB, which is the master switch for inflammatory signaling in your artery walls. When NF-κB is overactive, it causes endothelial cells to swell, stiffen, and produce less nitric oxide. Curcumin dials NF-κB down, which allows endothelial cells to return to their flexible nitric oxide-producing state. For preparation, Add 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric to your beet juice. But here is the critical detail that determines whether this ingredient works or is completely wasted. Curcumin has notoriously poor bioavailability. On its own, your body absorbs less than 5% of the curcumin you consume. The solution has been known since 1998 when researchers at St. John's Medical College discovered that piperine, the active compound in black pepper, increases curcumin absorption by 2,000%. That is not a typo. A small pinch of ground black pepper alongside your turmeric transforms it from a mostly wasted ingredient into a fully absorbed anti-inflammatory powerhouse. Stir the turmeric and black pepper into your beet juice, and the bright golden color will actually confirm the curcumin is evenly distributed. Drink it within 10 minutes because curcumin begins degrading when dissolved in liquid and exposed to light. What comes next is an ingredient that works in perfect biochemical harmony with everything in beet juice. Number 2. Pomegranate juice, 8x blood flow enhancement. Pomegranate is not just another antioxidant fruit. When it comes to blood flow, pomegranate operates through a mechanism so perfectly complementary to beet juice that some researchers have called the combination the most powerful natural circulation formula ever tested in clinical settings. Here's why. Beet juice works primarily by providing dietary nitrates that convert to nitric oxide. But there is another pathway for nitric oxide production that beet juice does not touch at all, and that is the L-arginine pathway. Your body uses an amino acid called L-arginine to produce nitric oxide through a completely different enzyme system. After 60, this L-arginine pathway becomes compromised because an enzyme called arginase becomes overactive and breaks down L-arginine before it can be converted to nitric oxide. Pomegranate contains potent compounds called punicalagins and ellagic acid that directly inhibit arginase activity. A 2013 study published in Nitric Oxide, Biology and Chemistry measured this effect precisely. Researchers found that pomegranate extract reduced arginase activity by 47% in human endothelial cells, which freed up significantly more L-arginine for nitric oxide production. When both pathways are firing simultaneously, the dietary nitrate pathway from beet juice and the L-arginine pathway unlocked by pomegranate, the total nitric oxide output is dramatically amplified. A 2020 clinical trial at the Technion Israel Institute of Technology tested this exact combination. 73 adults with a mean age of 64 consumed either beetroot juice alone or beetroot juice mixed with 100 milliliters of pomegranate juice daily for 4 weeks. The combination group showed an 8-fold greater improvement in peripheral blood flow measured by laser Doppler flowmetry compared to the beetroot-only group. 8 times greater from adding just a small amount of pomegranate juice. The preparation is simple, but the quality matters immensely. You want 100% pure pomegranate juice with no added sugars, no apple juice filler, and no concentrates from multiple fruits blended together. Read the ingredient label carefully because many commercial pomegranate juices are actually 70% apple or grape juice with a splash of pomegranate for color. Add roughly 1/3 of a cup of pure pomegranate juice to your beet juice and stir gently. The deep red color should darken your beet juice noticeably. If it does not change the color, your pomegranate juice is probably too diluted to provide meaningful punicalagin content. Alternatively, you can use fresh pomegranate seeds blended and strained, which gives you the freshest possible punicalagin concentration. The best time to add pomegranate is alongside your morning beet juice because punicalagins have a 6-hour bioactive window, and pairing both juices ensures their nitric oxide effects overlap during your most active daytime hours. And now we arrive at the number 1 ingredient, the one that changes everything. Number 1. Watermelon juice, 12x blood flow enhancement. This is the ingredient that made researchers rethink everything they believed about nitric oxide production in aging adults. Watermelon is the richest natural source of an amino acid called L-citrulline, and L-citrulline does something that no other compound on this list can do. It recycles nitric oxide. Let me explain why that matters so much. When your body produces nitric oxide, that nitric oxide does its job of relaxing blood vessels and then breaks down into byproducts that are normally just excreted as waste. The nitric oxide is used once and then gone. But L-citrulline intervenes in that breakdown process. Your kidneys convert L-citrulline into L-arginine, which then gets converted right back into fresh nitric oxide. It creates a recycling loop that essentially lets your body reuse the same nitric oxide precursors over and over and over again. For someone over 60, this is extraordinary because the main problem is not just low nitric oxide production. It is that whatever nitric oxide gets produced disappears too quickly. L-citrulline extends the active lifespan of each nitric oxide burst from minutes to hours. A landmark 2023 study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology tested L-citrulline supplementation from watermelon juice in 96 adults aged 60 to 78 with documented endothelial dysfunction. After 6 weeks of daily consumption, the watermelon group showed resting blood flow levels that were statistically identical to the healthy control group aged 30 to 45. Their vascular age had effectively reversed by 25 to 30 years. When this same research team combined watermelon juice with beetroot juice, the synergy was unprecedented. Beet juice provided a surge of nitrates for immediate nitric oxide production, and watermelon's L-citrulline kept recycling that nitric oxide long after the initial surge would have faded. The combined blood flow improvement measured at 3 hours post-consumption was 12 times greater than beetroot juice alone. 12 times. No pharmaceutical intervention tested in the same study design had ever produced a comparable result with 0 side effects. For preparation, you want the juice from the red flesh of the watermelon plus, and this is absolutely critical, juice from the white rind. The white rind contains 60% more L-citrulline per gram than the red flesh. Most people throw the rind away, which means they are discarding the most valuable part. Cut the rind into small chunks, blend it with the red flesh, strain if needed, and mix roughly half a cup of this watermelon juice into your beet juice. The combination creates a mildly sweet, earthy flavor that most people find far more pleasant than plain beet juice. Drink it every morning on an empty stomach and give it 30 minutes before eating breakfast. This fasting window allows maximum absorption of the L-citrulline before digestive competition from other amino acids in food. Within 2 to 3 weeks of daily use, most people report noticeably warmer hands and feet, better exercise stamina, and improved mental clarity. So, there you have it, 6 simple ingredients that can transform your plain beet juice into the most powerful natural blood flow formula backed by modern science. Ginger to restart your nitric oxide factory. Cayenne to widen your arteries through a second pathway. Lemon to protect the nitric oxide you produce. Turmeric to strip away the inflammation that stiffens your vessels. Pomegranate to unlock a whole second nitric oxide production system, and watermelon to recycle it all so the effects last throughout your entire day. Start by adding just 1 or 2 of these to your morning routine and build from there. Your circulation at 60, 70, or even 80 does not have to decline the way most people assume. If this information was helpful, subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what is coming next. Thanks for watching.